Welcome to AlexGs Aquarium, everybody. Today I want to talk about some new additions going into the 1600-gallon system. When everybody sees this video, this will be done over multiple days. It wasn't done all at once. I just want to give fair warning on that. And I have some new animals that are going to be going into the 1600-gallon system. I wanted to start off with talking about some corals that I picked up from a little bit of a newer shop in Naperville, Illinois. It's called Blue Line Coral. They are a cool little shop. They're just getting going, it seems. I really haven't spent a lot of time talking to the staff there about their business and how long it's been there, but they have an interesting little shop set up. It's got several different frag tanks, and they offer quite a bit in the way of LPS corals, also zoanthids. They had a pretty good mix in right now, and they have a lot of room to potentially grow out and add a lot more to their store. So it'll be interesting to see how they have evolved as well as a business. They also do go on the road and do different frag swaps. I've seen that on their Facebook page. So if you want to look at another interesting shop in the Chicagoland area, I'd go ahead and give them a try. Several of the corals that I added to my tank last time did come from their shop, and they've been doing well. I just picked up 3 new corals today. I didn't want to go too crazy, but I picked up another frog spawn, which is kind of an orange frog spawn, a gold hammer, and then also a splatter hammer. So just 3 little frags, but they'll make a great addition to the Euphyllia garden that I've been working on this side of the 480-gallon tank. I've been slowly just stocking up different varieties of Euphyllia, and I'm gonna really build out this whole area so it's just one big giant Euphyllia garden. Might even add some additional rock structures in it so I can bolster it even more. Let's move on to some of the other animals that I have picked up for the 1600-gallon system. It's another day, and I have more stuff that has come in. This is my very first shipment I've ever gotten from liveaquaria.com. I've been looking for these animals for quite a while. My local fish store has been trying to get them in, but has not been able to lately, and I needed to get them. They are a very important part of my cleanup crew. I have not been able to get a hold of, so I'm happy to say that I finally got them. I have no idea how the shipment went. It just came to my door. Therefore, I'm going to open it up and see how everybody's doing. Okay, so they have an acclimation guide here. I got a coupon here. Okay, and just a little warning guide, which is a very good thing in here to say, you know, do not release anything into your lakes, streams, rivers. Of course, it's always a good idea. We don't need more invasive species roaming around. So what did I get? Well, I've already pulled the first bag out, and what I picked up were some tiger tail sea cucumbers. Now these are a really integral part of a cleanup crew, and I ordered 6 of them because they became available. To be honest, I have not seen them locally in stores, and I was actually on Live Aquaria's waiting list here to get them. I saw them pop up through an email alert, and I went ahead and ordered a half dozen of them right away. I'm just feeling the bags here. They feel slightly cool, but for the most part they actually might not be at a really bad temperature at all. If anything, it's just slightly cool. And take these guys, and I am going to float them in a bucket of tank water, get them kind of used to it, and then I'm going to put all of them into one bucket and start an acclimation. It's been a few days now since I've added the corals to the 480-gallon reef tank, and I gotta say, both of the branching hammers and the frog spawn are doing really good. They opened up right away, and they've gotten some really nice colors out of them. And I take a look at them with an orange filter, as you're seeing here. They really are giving off a nice glow, and even without it, there's still some beautiful corals, and I can't wait to see this end of the tank fill out, because I'll definitely be adding more species of Euphyllia as time goes on. Now, the sea cucumbers I unboxed yesterday, I did go through a pretty good acclimation process with them. I started off by floating the bags for 15 to 20 minutes, as there was a temperature difference between the shipping box and my aquarium. Went ahead and then opened all the bags up, put the sea cucumbers into a single bucket, and started a drip acclimation, which lasted for 3 hours. Now, I will say there was a single drawback to doing it this way, because the bucket was on the concrete floor and not inside of styrofoam, the temperature of the bucket did lower down a bit, and I had to reacclimate the temperature of the sea cucumbers back to the temperature of the aquarium before they were put in. And releasing was really easy. Put them into a specimen cup, simply just lowered them down to the bottom of the tank, made sure that the gyre pumps are off. I wanted to keep the flow really low while I let the sea cucumbers kind of settle themselves out. Once they were on the bottom, they flipped themselves over and they immediately started going underneath the rocks in the 480-gallon tank. Now, if you're not familiar with sea cucumbers, but you have a sand bed, they are a great member of your sand cleanup crew. They literally eat the sand, clean it out, and poop it out clean on the other side. Now, there are a couple of caveats to having sea cucumbers. One, you have to make sure that they're in a good environment. You have to have good water quality because they can be a little sensitive. The other thing is they are considered a poisonous animal. They have the potential, even though it's a low risk, they do have the potential to release toxins into your tank, which could potentially poison your other animal. I've only once seen a sea cucumber release its defense, which it'll actually kind of spray out like a gel from one end, which is kind of like a sticky poisonous gel. They can also secrete that into the water potentially if they die or get sucked into a power head or something tries to eat them. I've never seen this actually happen to a tank before where it's poisoned everything. I've never met anybody where it's happened, but it is possible. So if you do get these animals, just make sure you have a good environment and no fish that might potentially pester them. I do have a lot of wrasses in here, but they steer clear of these guys. They probably know that it's not a good idea to mess with them. The only other thing I'll say on sea cucumbers is they generally stay on the bottom in the sand bed. They're usually active at night. They don't tend to crawl up the walls of tanks. If you do get one that does so, just make sure they can't get to any of your power heads, as they could potentially get sucked into them. I'm pretty confident in keeping sea cucumbers though. I've had them for years in the past. Some of them, like the tiger tails, will actually split on their own in your tank, and they're a great addition to the cleanup crew. So definitely something to give a little research and try out. I did pick up 2 more animals when I went to my local fish store, Reef Plus, and that was a couple of sea hares. Now, my friend Steve over at Reef Plus is well aware that I've got a lot of algae in the 480-gallon tank still, and as I've been adding snails and sea urchins slowly, he said he saw a couple of sea hares available at a wholesaler and decided to pick them up for me. Now, I've never had sea hares before. I've done some reading on them, and I did go ahead and acclimate them to the tank, similar to how I would a fish. I did it a little slower. The salinity was at the same level, and the temperature I got leveled out pretty quickly. After about an hour and a half, I got my acclimation completed. I went ahead and released them into the 480-gallon tank. Again, I made sure my gyre pumps were off, and sea hares are considered a form of gastropod, so they're similar to a snail or a slug. They don't quite fit into what a nudibranch would, but they're very similar. And there are a couple of cautions with these as well. And doing my reading, one, they are ferocious algae eaters and they will clean tanks very quickly. The drawbacks are, if something attacks them or tries to eat them, they can potentially excrete a poisonous ink. And there's also a chance if they get sucked into something like a pump, they could also secrete some poisonous ink. And I actually did read a little bit on it, and it actually is like a really strong form of ammonia that it could emit. So there are some cautions with them as well. I made sure that I released them into the tank as best I could, although that didn't quite go as planned. As when I put them onto the rock, as I tried to release them high into the tank, one of them kind of rolled over and the other one floated away. They both settled though on the rocks and seem to be doing okay. There's 2 different varieties I got. One's just kind of a standard green one, the other one's a blue spotted. I'm going to let them go and just eat away at the algae in the 480 gallon, along with the rest of the cleanup crew. And once they get done with the algae and everything seems under control, I might not keep them in the tank permanently. I might take them back to the store. Just have to see. They're not a very long-lived animal. They only live for about 12 to 18 months. And they need a lot of algae. So if you run out of algae and you want to keep them, make sure that you're doing supplemental feeding for them. I'll definitely give more updates on how they're doing though, along with the sea cucumbers and the corals. That's what I wanted to talk about in today's video. If you have any questions about the animals I picked up for the 1600 gallon system, go ahead, leave them down below. As always, if you want to see more on the 1600 gallon system, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching everybody, and I will see you on the next video.